It's SJG D2 HBCU football.
Sleep on Livingstone if you want to, and they can really punish you for it.
Fayetteville State, they're never sexy, but they win.
Sometimes we have to eat our crow, and I got to eat my crow this week, okay?
Doom alert. Yeah, we're back at Heartbreak Hotel, and we're checking back in.
What's going on, everybody? This is SJG. Welcome to the HBCU Game Day D2 football show. Oh, man, what a week. We are in week, wait a minute. It's week 2, but this is the third week that some teams are playing because there is a week 0. But we'll make it all make sense in just a little bit for you guys. But for those of you who don't know, my name is Stephen J. Gaither. I am founder of HBCU Game Day. And, yeah, very excited to bring to you guys this week's show. We got a great guest coming off of a big win. A very eventful weekend around HBCU football, and the game that he was a part of is one of the most eventful. But before I get into all that, please let me introduce you to my co-host, the one and only Chris Ferguson. Chris is, like myself, he is a Winston-Salem State University graduate. Don't hold that against us or love us for it, whatever you want to do. But either way, you either feel one way about us or the other. Yeah, Chris, how's it going, man? And how are you feeling, man, as we transition into officially week 2 of D2 football?
I feel like I'm trying to catch my stride right now. Like, there's just so much going on. I think I'm still recovering from Saturday and how exciting it was. I think it was like more exciting of a football weekend than I've seen in quite some time. But I am feeling pretty good going into this week and looking forward to a great show.
No doubt about it. Yeah, a very exciting week. I think you were at home. I was on the road, not really too far down the road, but on the road. It was really compelling. We talked about it last week. And again, for those of you who are catching us for the first time, because we are streaming on Facebook for the first time this year, I believe. This is the show where we talk about what's going on with our Division II HBCU football. So that would be the CIAA and the SIAC. So last week, and we'll talk a little bit about it more shortly, but last week we had a week of a pretty varied week of competition between a few conference battles, but mostly intra-conference, however they go. They were playing people that weren't in their conference. And there we go. And then also some D2 FCS check games, and we'll get to those as well. But before we get into last week in depth, we want to start off with today's guest. We're going to value his time, and we'll go ahead and bring him up in just a second. But let me tell you about him. He is the head coach of Shaw University, the Bears. He has been at Shaw as the head coach for the better part of this decade, and the guys are off to a 2-0 start with a win at home over Elizabeth City State in week 0. And a win on the road against Albany State last week on the road. So, without any further ado, we've got Coach Adrian Jones. Coach, how you doing today? Let me move my camera.
I'm doing great, man. Thank you guys for having me on.
No doubt about it, Coach. We appreciate you for coming on. Yeah. Chris, I'll let you start. But again, Coach, coming off of, again, a really frantic, action-packed game down there in Albany, Georgia, where you took your team down to face a team that played for a championship last year. Just kind of talk to us, just kind of let everybody know kind of how the game went from your perspective as you guys came and pulled out the win. And a lot of people, including us, didn't really see it coming.
Well, preparation for one, it's an 8 to 9 hour drive. We got up at 1:00 and got on the road Friday morning to travel down there. My motto was to get those guys there early enough to get them off their feet, get in the hotel, and kind of get focused on the game. But, we all know that Albany State is known for powerhouse football. They in the SIAC, they pretty much have run it. Back even when Coach White saw Coach White at the game, got to shake his hand. He's a legend and everything. But we get out there and we start the game. Warming up and stuff. What we normally do. We minding our business, not worrying about anything. And you know, we got a co-defensive coordinator and a DB coach going at our kids, telling them, you know, we're doing our 7-on-7 reps, throwing the ball around. Like, ain't no need of y'all throwing the ball. You may as well work on handing the ball off. And that sparked my OC. My OC was standing right there. It sparked my OC off. It sparked my quarterback. It sparked my receivers. You know, you got grown men talking to my players. You know, I don't mind coaches going back and forth, but I can guarantee you that when they played Valdosta State, they didn't do that to Valdosta State. So, you know, once again, they didn't think we were a good football team, but don't let the record 3-7, you know, fool you. You know, we were in the game against Fayetteville State last year. We beat John C. Smith, who had a great season last year. We lost our trigger man at the first game of the season. So a lot of stuff, you know, that behind closed doors they didn't know about. But I guarantee they'll respect us a little bit more from now on. You know, win, lose, or draw, we talk about, you know, showing character as head coaches and leading our young men and showing them how, you know, young men supposed to be. And, you know, the slap in the face is not shaking my hand after the game, you know, regardless win or lose. I can recall when we played Bowie State and back in coach's days when Coach Ware was the offensive coordinator, and we went to Bowie State and they're quiet. And, you know, I was thinking that those guys weren't ready. You know, I thought we had a chance. And our players get in a group and they say F Bowie right before we get ready to play. And I was like, what in the world? And at the end of the day, they hung 78 points on us that game. But at the end of the day, no matter how many points got scored on us, I shook the head coach's hand. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Respect, you know, it ain't fun when the rabbit got the gun. And, you know, I know y'all called me on here to speak my piece. 2025, they got to come to Durham, North Carolina. Win, lose, or draw, I'm going to shake his hand. But he needs to understand that if you're going to talk that talk, you got to walk that walk.
Yeah, well, you know, hey, you laid it all out there for us, Coach. You know, it's interesting, and I'll let Chris get there in a second. But I know, you know, you talk about, you know, being in this profession, and, you know, most of you guys have come up in the ranks as players, and you know, you talk about that respect and discipline, and like you say, you're trying to mold young men. I know Kano Maynard over at Alabama A&M, he was kind of talking about how for even him, you know, just a couple weeks ago, you know, going to talk to I think Hugh Freeze over at Auburn. I'm sorry, is that Auburn? He is at Auburn. Okay, PWI football. I can get a little cloudy sometimes. So, and he was talking about how, you know, they had just a nice pregame chat before the game, and you know, that meant something to him. And he said that didn't happen a lot of the times when he was in the SWAC. As a guy who's been around this game your entire life and been doing this, you know, what's the camaraderie like in the CIAA, and you know, just how much does that decorum mean to just kind of really instilling this stuff into young men?
It means a lot, you know. In CIAA, it's not one coach that we meet at the 50-yard line at some point in time and talk about our, you know, everybody got problems on campus, everybody got problems with buses, you know, those type of things we share, you know. And then right before we break up, you know, good luck, coach. You know, those type of things. We're very close, tight-knit family in the CIAA, and you gotta have more of that. You know, it's just a respect factor. I've been in this business for a long time. Been a head coach here 8 years. You know, he's a rookie coach. To me, he's a rookie coach. You got to respect the OGs of the conference. You know, win, lose, or draw, or whatever my record is. You know, at the end of the day, I know what I'm doing. I know how to coach football. You know. And we got all our bullets on the field, and you see a difference now with all our trigger man, you know, being the guy who he is. Our offensive line is intact, you know, all across the board. You know, I felt like the game shouldn't have been close. We made it closer than what it was, but I'm glad to see my guys in a pressure situation. We're down by 10 with less than a minute and 45 seconds left on the game, or whatever time it was, and we pulled a victory off. You know, at no point, you know. Y'all didn't see it on TV, but at no point in that game we thought that we was going to lose. And that's the mentality that you got to have to be a champion. Have we arrived yet? Absolutely not. We still got a lot of meat on that bone. We still got a lot of work, and I don't want my guys to get the big head because we're getting accolades and we're getting recognized. That doesn't mean nothing to us. There's one goal at hand, and that's to try to win a championship.
Yeah, Chris?
Yeah, Coach, I mean, let's talk about that game a little bit because, you know, when you got into the fourth quarter, you were already down by 10. and you had already had the lead. So what was kind of the guys' mentality going into that fourth quarter when you ended up racking up 27 points?
Well, we were just saying we just continue to chop wood and carry water. No, continue to play the football game, no matter outcome. Like, let's show character. Let's not, when the chips are down and they're up, let's not complain to the referees about calls. Let's just focus on soft football, and the outcome of the game, it was our favorite. They followed my lead. And a lot of times, a lot of losses last year, they started pointing the finger and not following my lead. But I can say, like I said, I've been in this business a long time. From last year to now, myself, I have matured a lot more. I've got to know my players a little bit more. What makes them comfortable, doing those type of things, getting to know them a little bit more, being a stickler about making my coaches be on time for everything. My staff, we're friends but I have to get them to understand that when I'm in head coach mode, I'm not your friend. So some things that we change, and that's why you see the difference in our program this year is, me checking myself at the door, trying to find out better ways to win football games. Because I never want to hear y'all guys going against me and saying, Shaw's not going to win the game. I listen to you guys, and I give credit to you guys for doing those things. But it motivates me. And at the end of the day, I got to do what I got to do to get y'all to be on my side.
Well, Coach, I kind of want to ask another question. So I've been covering the CIAA for about as long as you've been coaching at Shaw now. And I can't believe it. It's been that long. And I'm not really a football guy. I'm just a fan that really enjoys, follows conference, does a lot of studying and everything. But I equate a head coach as in leadership. And that's something I do, in the real world. And I want to know, what is your biggest leadership quality?
My biggest leadership quality is I lead by example. I go to the weight room and work out with my football players each and every day. I go in there and work out with them in the off season, and it's grueling. Our strength and condition coach is no joke, and I do each and everything with them. It be times like, I ain't doing that. That's too much. I don't play football no more. No, coach, you're a family. You got to do it. So when they see me do those things, and I get on them and tell them they're wrong about stuff, they can't check me, because I've been in the war room with them, and I just think that's, I'm old, but I just showed them at the end of the day that, no matter what, I don't play football no more. I'm in with the family.
Yeah. Again, guys, we are have the pleasure of having Shaw University head coach Adrian Jones on. He is in his 8th year at Shaw University in Raleigh as they continue to get ready to go into CIAA play yet, or you got another week of non-conference?
We got Catawba this week.
Catawba, right down the road in Salisbury. But yeah, you're just talking about your program and the length of time that you've been in the CIAA. How has the league? Have you seen the league change and evolve in that time? Any trends, or just I guess you also had to talk about the transfer portal. I know you guys had a guy who was who you guys kind of found as a diamond in the rough, and next thing you know, FBS teams are looking at him. Kind of what that's done. I think we hear about it on the D1 level, but at the D2 level, how the changes have impacted your program.
We talk about the transfer portal. We're the new modern day JUCO. You got to make all conference. You best believe the FCS schools are going to come in and try to lure them in. But I can tell you what, just with us being 5-0 against the SIAC, from when I got here to now, anybody can win this championship. I really do believe that. Fayetteville State is still good. We're pretty good. John C. Smith is on the roll. You got the Virginia Unions, the Virginia States. Bowie played a tough game last week. So it's anybody's game. So, we just got to continue to win. But I just appreciate, how I want to say it. I appreciate our coaches in this conference. They're doing a great job of molding young men. We're very competitive. So, Coach Hayes is one guy that he'll hit me up. He said, I'm watching. I'm like, what you talking about? Man, you all the way in California recruiting. Absolutely. I got to go to California because I can't beat you in North Carolina. It's cheaper to go to Fayetteville State. So I got to be a little bit creative. But we're all friends, and we all, stick together. Like Coach Hayes came to my house right before the summer end, and we had drinks and food at my house with some of the other coaches. Coach Hilliard was there, Coach Oliver, a couple other coaches. So we're a family, but when we get out there in that football field, we want to beat each other.
Yeah, and it just kind of triggered me too, thinking about the talking about recruiting in California. I know in recent years, and it kind of ebbs and flows. In recent years, they've said how the South, and of course, there are no more divisions right now, but how they said that the South has been the weaker of the conference of the divisions and things like that. But just paint the picture of how difficult it is to recruit, or how the recruiting is in North Carolina when you have all of these schools. I mean, from the FBS to the FCS to, you got 5 HBCUs that play football in North Carolina, 5-6 in North Carolina. How it is for you guys to try to get recruiting, and how creative you guys have to get as a private school as well.
Yeah, and you said it. It was difficult for us because we're a private school, and John C. Smith is a private school, but we get creative. It's not really difficult for those private schools because you got John C. Smith, who's in the middle of Charlotte, who don't want to go to Charlotte, who doesn't want to come downtown Raleigh, where it's the capital. It's NC State. You're talking about Queens College, us, St. all North Carolina Central right down the street, and it's a college town. Most of the college students come to downtown Raleigh. So when we got our guys on recruiting visits, that's our selling point. We let those guys go downtown and hang out with our football players, and they see the bond. And so that's where we win at, just that. And we show that we really care. At the end of the day, it ain't no secret. We don't have a lot of bells and whistles. We keep it real with them guys. If you want to come play football and get coached up by a good coaching staff, this is where you want to be at. All our guys graduate, get degrees, and hell, you got 10 of our guys on our team this year that's in grad school.
Chris?
Yeah, I just was kind of curious in your tenure, what's been your favorite moment, as a head football coach?
My favorite moment. There's a lot of moments. I'll tell you, I'm gonna write a book because I got some special kids, man. There's some special stories. But my favorite moment, I can say, that just really pops out. We went to Morris Hills, and Morris Hills was pretty good that year, and we won and beat that team. If you know anything about Morris Hills, that coach been there for a long time. That was one of my favorite moments. God rest his soul, Dr. Carter. As soon as that game was over with, he came and hugged me and said, "Coach, I was proud of you." So that's one of my favorite moments, is beating Morris Hills, who was a predominantly powerhouse back then.
Yeah, as we continue to talk with Coach Jones, for those of you who don't know, before he was the coach, he was a star defensive back and return man over at North Carolina Central back when they were in the CIAA. I know you played with several men who have gone on to become head coaches, Coach Trey Oliver, Coach Dawson Odoms as well. Just talk about talk about that connection that you guys have, being Central grads, and then also there's a lot of overlap between the MEAC and the CIAA in terms of 3 of those guys that are in the MEAC, they played in the CIAA, and we also often hear them talking about what MEAC football is, but kind of how much closely the two kind of seem to be kind of tied together.
It's been a great experience. If you let Coach Little tell you that he's proud of us, but at one point in time he didn't know what in the world we were going to be. We were those teenagers that was partying and having a good time and always into something. But we listened to Coach Little. He was a father figure to us. But Coach, I call him Tyrone. I don't know him as Dawson. I think he changed his name. But Tyrone, we talk. We talk on the phone on the regular. Coach Oliver, we talk every day. If I ain't at his house, he's at my house, talking over football and strategies and stuff. And also Coach Gibbs, Sean Gibbs, we talk every other day, or if we don't talk, it's a text. So it's a family. We say that we the HBCU for head coaches. I really feel like that. I'm proud of all those guys. And each and every week I'm voting for them and rooting for them. But it's tough being a head coach. The critics. Each and every week. I'm still feeling kind of daggone bad from the Albany State game. The travel, the emotions and everything. So I can only imagine how my kids feel. I didn't play in the game, but you would think I hit a couple people Saturday.
Gotcha. Chris, any?
No, I talked to Coach Jones yesterday in his coach's show, and I asked a question about the ending of the game and just how it was just so chaotic. It was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. Coach, tell the folks out there, kind of like your thoughts about, sort of how the game ended, the way Christian Peters made that throw to Belcher to take the lead so late in the game.
Well, I can tell you what, those guys actually at practice talk about these moments. If this happens, I'm going to do this. I didn't want him to scramble like he did. I didn't feel like he had to do that. But he gave you an answer. He said, I felt like I need to scramble a little bit longer to run the clock out. It sounds good, but I don't know if that was true. But he looked downfield. We work on the scramble drill. And I'm telling you, every day, Ashawn Belcher makes a catch like he did on Saturday, every single day. And we as coaches looking like, what in the world? He's just a prepared young man. And, I told you, Chris, God was on our side. It could have went either way, but, we have prepared. And I felt like, the bumps and bruises that we have taken the last 2 years, we've grown through that. It's been some sleepless nights, and nobody wants to lose, but for whatever reason, it was meant. I always tell my guys, what happens is meant for us. We've learned from it, but what we can't do now is get the big head. I talked to Coach Oliver. What do you need to do? We're 2-0. What are we speaking on? Just winning the day each and every day, being prepared. We're here to play a good team in Catawba, who has a great football coach, and that conference is good. But in order for us to get more respect, we got to continue to beat teams that are on our schedule.
Yeah, what do you think about that too? When it comes to, obviously, the CIAA has dominated the SIC this year, and then but even so, you look at a team like Elizabeth City, who you guys beat. To start the year, they beat Shawan, who used to be a part of the CIAA, but you got Bluefield State even going out and beating not Charleston, Concord. And then what you guys did, again, there's been this conversation, is the CIAA a football league now? What are your thoughts on just the state of where you guys are and what can push the conference even higher?
I think, I wasn't a fan of them not having a North and South, but I think it has made us better coaches. At the end of the day, you can't lose any games. You got to win. And I think one of you guys quoted on, it might be funny that it'd be real funny that it'd be two Southern teams are playing in the championship. It could go either way. It could be two Northern teams, quote unquote. But we just want to continue to win. It could be an undefeated team, or it could be two teams that lost one game. But we don't want to lose a game. We don't want to lose a game. We want to continue to win each and every week. And we want to be the front runners and people chasing us. But in order to do that, we got to continue to get prepared and do our best as coaching staff to get our guys ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Coach, we definitely appreciate you for coming on. Shout out to your sports information director, Antoine Lynch. He does a great job over there, Shaw, for connecting us and getting you on. We want to talk to you anyway. And then I obviously, just with everything that happened, it seemed like a good time. So we appreciate you for coming on. Anything you want to leave the people with as you get prepared to play against Catawba?
I know North Carolina Central is playing UNC, but please, if you're in our area, come give us a shout out. We play at 6:00 on Saturday at Durham County Stadium. We won't let you down. I appreciate your guys letting me come on.
No doubt about it. Anytime, Coach, for sure. On behalf of Chris as well.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you. Yep.
All right. Again, that was Coach Adrian Jones of Shaw University. The first HBCU in the South, Mother Shaw. Yes, that's your mother, North Carolina A&T, North Carolina Central, and so many other schools. So Congratulations to him and what he's doing over there for sure. So, yeah, let's get to it, Chris. We got a little bit of time left, so we want to make sure we kind of touch on what happened last week and also get the folks ready for this week. So let's see. We got, for sure. Shout out to Jared. I appreciate you. I see DJ Galat, former Bowie State, former Morgan State quarterback in the chat as well. Shout out to him. Karen Griffin, as always, again, I don't think we can do a show without you. I think it's like against the law. So shout out to everybody who's watching us on not only YouTube, but also on Facebook and Twitter as well. We appreciate all the love and all the support as we look at where we are in the season again. So we just finished up week 1, but get week 3 for a lot of teams. Chris, we had all the different types of games. Again, last week we talked about it. CIAA just has the SRAC in the chokehold. So, that didn't – we thought if there was any team, it was going to be the Shaw-Albany State matchup, but newsflash, we were wrong there.
That L.
Yeah. We weren't Kentucky State, Virginia Union wrong, but we were wrong. 5-0 against SIAC. I think all the games are done. Pretty clear, cut and dry. CIAA over the SIAC this year, right?
So far, I mean, they still got another chance at us.
Okay, who's next?
Livingstone is up.
Allen, yeah, Livingstone, Allen, yeah. And we'll talk about Allen. They went to Atlanta to face their former coach last week, and they were coming off the big high. David Wright. Everybody's like David Wright for Heisman. And rightfully so after a 7-touchdown game for sure. The man was brilliant against Fort Valley State, but and he turned out to be brilliant when he needed to be against Allen University in a tight game there, playing against his former team. As Coach Teddy Keaton has his guys 2-0 as well. You guys can watch the Teddy Keaton show on HBCU Game Day with our guy Sly the Sports Guy. So we make sure we who's really plugged in down there in the SIAC land. So we give it all to you there. But yeah, so we do have that game. We'll maybe touch on that a little bit. We also, you said you were really excited about last week. What games? I'm guessing, obviously the Albany State and Shaw game was kind of there as well. But, what other games stood out for you?
Well, one game that I don't think people have really talked about very much was Elizabeth City and Chowan. And bring Stephen back. Bring Stephen back. Stephen, Chowan has not won a game since they left the CIAA.
Until you do right by the CIAA.
I just want to see Stephen's smug face when I told him that. Yeah. And so I'm like, man, okay, so now they're going to play Elizabeth City. We don't know,
If they thought the grass is greener, huh? In Murfreesboro. Yeah. Yeah. Conference Carolinas.
Well, the big thing about this game was the fact that it was so low scoring. I mean, Chowan just has not been the same at all. The pieces have all gone from that championship game run, and Elizabeth City ended up pulling it out in the end. I wasn't sure if they're going to make it, and it was like 12-7. They took a safety because they're so far into their own territory. They took a safety to try to kill the clock. 12-9. Oh no, is Chowan gonna kick a field goal to tie the game, go to overtime? And that's what they tried to do, and they missed it. And so first thing I thought about was Stephen. So I just felt like Elizabeth City definitely not a game that a lot of people are going to watch and tune into, but Coach Hilliard definitely deserves some shine on that game. And that was an early game. That was nothing more than a forecast for what was to come later in the day. You had the FCS games that happened. Each one of those teams in the FCS, at the D2 teams, Virginia Union, Virginia State, Winslow State, they all had leads in this game, and not just at the beginning of the game. Like, that's how amazing it was. Virginia State kind of sort of trailed off against Norfolk. I think the running game of Norfolk State really just kind of wore them down over time. To be expected. I don't think that they're particularly deep on defense right now. But that's all right.
Carlos Fields, man.
Huh?
Shout out to Carlos Fields, though, man.
Yeah, but nonetheless, it was a great showing.
But he wasn't out there making tackles,
right?
So,
but they only lost by like 5 points. That's a relative victory. Like, it's a moral victory, yeah, but it's a good sign. And then Hampton and Virginia Union, and Virginia Union was actually a 1-point favorite in this game, and I felt like Virginia Union kind of had them on the ropes until the starting quarterback, R.J. Rosales, got hurt and did not return to the game. And Union was leading by 2, and things kind of turned after that. And so, that's a deeper team. They were kind of hanging in there. But, we kind of put in another quarterback that, in a very fragile situation, and it just didn't really work out. So, yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I still thought that was a very winnable game for VUU, but, they kind of had a little bit of string of bad luck in the end, and it got them. To me, the surprise was Winston State. I know, I get it, but, it's one of those games that it's like, man, like, I just don't know. It's just too many unknowns. I don't feel very easy. And, they took an early lead, right? Mm-hmm. And missed the extra point, which, really kind of made a bit of a difference. And then after that, it was kind of like, they were just kind of hanging in there. They were just kind of just treading water. Yeah, A&T goes up by 2 scores. And here comes Winston State, like, bam, all of a sudden, it's 3 minutes left in regulation, and they're up by 3. Like,
oh, man, when they went up, I was like, man, this feels good. But also, like, man, that's a lot of time. And A&T continued to find time, on that last drive. But, I talked to Coach Massey about that yesterday, and he said that, a lot of people would think about the kick that sent him into overtime, but it was actually for him the field goal at the end of this first half. He said that, if he would have had it do over again, they wouldn't have been as aggressive, and they would have just ran the ball and tried to run some clock, because that's when he hit the I think it was a 52-yard or 51-yard, which is the longest in A&T history. So, man, but I think for sure, if you guys saw my video on my Ram Nation page, a lot of folks in the national media just were so enamored with what the 13-point offensive explosion that North Carolina A&T underwent against Wake Forest, who clearly has defensive problems, that they just felt like WSSU was going to get blown out of the water. But I felt like this actually was the game that I kind of expected. You look at both programs are trying to learn how to win. For, North Carolina A&T, they won 1 game last year under Coach Brown. And if you look at Winston-Salem, they kind of did what they do against CIAA teams, which is, hang around, get a late lead, but couldn't hold it. But, I think, for them, they can't play we don't have enough scholarships game anymore now. They kind of got to go out there and produce. So we shall see. But as we look,
A&T ain't gonna win no more games. They're not gonna win.
I want to win this week against Delaware. I'm actually supposed to go talk. I'm actually supposed to go on an A&T podcast a little bit later. So it'll be what it'll be. But we'll see. It remains to be seen. But they went from telling me they were gonna put 60 on me after they scored 30 on Wake Forest to all wins are good wins. All wins matter. So, but look, man, Chris, they were shaking in their doggy boots. They were sitting up there eating their kibbles and bits, just chomping. But it was a good time. And, I know how you feel about these games, but it was great. Kind of reminded me of our days of going back in school, and it was fun. Hopefully they can do it again. Another game in North Carolina, we got two other games we want to highlight too. One is Livingstone. Livingstone played the Mystic Dragons of VUL. So we had the Blue Bears on the blue turf against the Mystic Dragons of Virginia Union Lynchburg. And the game kind of went how you expected it to go. I think we got some highlights. Kobe's going to drop them. In just
10-yard line. And off to Chris Brown. Breaks the tackle in the backfield. He pushes out, rolls out. Touchdown. Livingstone Blue Bears. 10-yard run by. Oh, and the field goal is blocked. And that is number 4 with it. Taking it for the return. Junior to scoot up.
Like they're sending some blitz.
Play action. Hits the top. Greg is open, and
that's the money ball.
And money.
Yes, sir. Touchdown.
Good touchdown.
Number 3.
Good 30-yard back. Rose. Snap Rose. Goes to the Angel. Touchdown. Angel.
Yeah, so Livingstone got the flex there. Well, passing muscles a little bit, much different result than what I witnessed against Charleston the week before. And they have a tough Allen team. We'll talk about that shortly. I know we're getting a lot of mentions in the chat about Allen, and I know Sly mentioned that their defense is really good. Their defense, of course, their defensive coordinator is none other than the one, the only, the CIAA championship whisperer, Keenis Bower, former head coach at Winston-Salem State University, but also coached CIAA champions at North Carolina Central, at Shaw, at WSSU, and also at Livingstone. So a little bit of a return for him as well over there on the blue turf this week. Again, we appreciate everybody that's in here. Please, guys, go ahead and hit that like button and leave us a comment. Let us know you're in here. Let us know that you are enjoying the D2 coverage that we think is so important to bring you guys. Wow. And then finally, in our intro, if you're familiar with our intro, which we're going to have to, you'll be seeing change a little bit. There's a part in there, Chris, where a certain know-it-all says Fayetteville State, they're not sexy, but they just find a way to win. Chris, I don't know. Maybe somewhere, somehow, over the offseason, they picked up maybe a little sex appeal. Maybe they're showing a little more leg on offense, a little more hoof on offense. All right, I don't want to get us cut off. Let's just roll the tape of their last couple minutes against UNC Pembroke, because we definitely want to touch on that.
Anticipated as well. There's the snap, the handoff. It's pulled out of the gut of Baines, the stretch of the goal line, and it's a Pembroke touchdown. The Braves have taken the lead with 1:12 to go. They're going to reset the game clock to 28 seconds. Field dumps it over the top, and it's caught by the tight end. Wow. This goes far side, and it's caught for another first down. And all the way out to the 31. The Broncos are now in field goal range. It's once again coming down to the final 25 seconds as Daniels steps up out of pressure. He's got room. Inside of the 5, stretching to the outside, and he's in for the touchdown. With 17 seconds to go, the Broncos have the lead. Wow.
Yeah, Chris. Not 15, not 25, 35. They put up 35, and they also let UNC Pembroke score 31. So, we've seen these two coaches before go back and forth. Coach Hayes from Fayetteville State and Coach Hall, formerly of Chowan, now with UNC Pembroke. Second year in a row they played. UNC Pembroke got the first game last year. Coach Hayes gets his revenge in the Two Rivers Classic. What did you see in this game, Chris, from Fayetteville State that says, I don't know, am I really going to have to change the intro? And are they, showing a little bit more hoof?
Well, this was a game I watched from start to finish, and I was really, really intrigued. Two evenly matched rivals, and right out the gate, UNC Pembroke started a totally different quarterback. Started the backup quarterback, and the starter was fine. Colin Johnson was fine. He was on the sideline. He ended up coming in really late because the starting quarterback for this game he got shook up. Man, you talk about just ups, downs, curves. This was an instant classic. Um, you saw Joe Owens, the starting quarterback for Fayetteville State. He was playing all right, playing well. Then he got hurt. And I was like, man, they really didn't make a change at quarterback because it just seems like what they want to do on offense requires a lot of moving around. And once Joe Owens had a leg injury, he just wasn't very mobile anymore. And so insert Devari Daniels. And Daniels is definitely a much more
game MVP.
Yep, he's a much more mobile quarterback. He can do a lot of things. You just saw him, make all the right reads, and when it was time to pull the ball down and run, that's exactly what he did. What I would just say about what Fayetteville State was able to do, especially on the being down 10 points multiple times, clawing back into the game, it was great to see. I mean, it was so refreshing, and shout out to Kevin McGurk, who's the new offensive coordinator at Fayetteville State, because what I saw from them, they use so many different looks now that it was just really, it's like having a new piece of chewing gum. It's so refreshing and spearmint. One of the things I really saw was they now use the third, I don't know if he's a second string, I don't know if he's a third string, but Caden Davis, quarterback, he saw time at quarterback, especially with those running packages at the, near the goal line. They lined him up in the backfield. They lined him up at tight end. I mean, he caught several passes. I mean, he was really reliable in the first quarter. And so you had all three of their quarterbacks playing, but they all didn't play quarterback. And I was just like, man, I'm glad to see that. I know Winston State has done that with quarterbacks in the past when I think they're actually doing that this year. Like Jameer Slade's a wide receiver now. He's not quarterback anymore. And it was just so nice to see. It was so great to see. I hope he stays more than 1 year because based on that game alone, Fayetteville State is going to be, I think, a much more intriguing watch this year. So kudos to Coach Hayes. I think sometimes they think that I don't like Fayetteville State, and that's just certainly not true. I was so happy that I did pick them in my column this past week. I knew it was going to be a very even game, and definitely shout out to him and his ball club and what they were able to do this weekend.
Yeah, and as we look into, the SIC played some D1 games, but we don't need to talk about those. We've already beat up on the SIC.
Oh, it was a slaughter.
Yeah. The ones hey, look, get your money. For me, I like the games of historical significance. Tuskegee, Grambling State, I don't hate that game. Savannah State and Southern, there's no tie. And there was a couple other ones as well. But hey, look,
Miles.
Miles, Alabama State. Miles, we thought they may, be able to do something. They played West Alabama really well, but they kind of struggled. Took a step back this year against that team. Maybe it was a little bit tougher to see them coming the year before. And also they had a quarterback today. I don't know if they even had any film on because he was a freshman. So quite a bit. And Sly says that Savannah State was in the game until the fourth. They ran out of gas. I did see that. So kudos for them. Hey, gotta get them checks. As we continue and we look forward briefly into week 2, we talked about Fayetteville State. Nice win over UNC Pembroke, but they got another non-conference game this week. And this team, and no disrespect to UNC Pembroke, but this team is no UNC Pembroke. This is.
Go ahead and say it.
No, that's for sure.
We couldn't hear you.
The fake VSU, Valdosta State University. picks. Thank you. Yeah, Valdosta State. They got to go play Valdosta State. We saw what Valdosta State did to Albany State. Damn shame what they did to those they're not Wildcats. Damn shame what they did to Albany State. Anyway,
Rams, Golden Rams.
Oh yeah, though they're the Golden Rams. Yes.
Tarnished.
Yeah. Well, they
Luster's knocked off of.
They got some picking up to do. They got some picking up to do for sure. Anyway, Valdosta State, UNC Pembroke, Fayetteville State. Valdosta State, Fayetteville State. We saw Virginia Union beat them last year. Does Fayetteville State have a chance to beat Valdosta State?
Well, remember, there's only one VSU on this channel, and that's Virginia State.
Damn straight. Is there a doom alert? Do we have a doom alert?
No. I can't do that. I'm sorry. I am very intrigued now as to like how Fayetteville State will play against Valdosta.
Get off. Here, man.
Well, and what I'm really intrigued about is what the defense will do against Sammy Edwards, the quarterback, who's very mobile quarterback and can hit a wide range of targets. He can extend plays. I'm just really intrigued on how what kind of game plan are they going to draw up to see if they can slow him down. If they can do that, then I think that they could certainly have a chance in this game. We know how resilient Fayetteville State can be. And so, does this really turn into a track meet again, or does this maybe kind of slow down a bit? But I tell you one thing, you can't do what Albany did against Valdosta and settle for field goals. And shout out to John Hernandez Vargas for Fayetteville State, the kicker, who kind of inched along, kept Fayetteville State inching along against Pembroke. That's not going to cut it this week. So if you want to win this game, you're going to have to get into the end zone. You're going to have to get into the end zone often. Am I ready to call that upset? No, I'm not quite there yet. But it is going to be a very intriguing game.
Okay, you never know what to do with a brother named Stanley. Johnson C. Smith versus Lincoln, Pennsylvania. Johnson C. Smith, they are currently in first place in the SIAC, but they're taking on their first CIAA competitor as they welcome in the Lincoln Lions, two opposite ends of the CIAA football spectrum. Chris, is Johnson C. Smith on doom alert for Lincoln, or you're not seeing it? They played Clarion last week. Lincoln weren't able to get it done. Johnson C. Smith, they went down there and roughed up on Morehouse.
Told you, scrimmage.
It was Morehouse. They got a nice trip to Atlanta. Shout out to Wally, who was there as he's doing a series brick by brick. But this game, what are your thoughts on this game?
Well, Lincoln's got to show some consistency. And what I didn't like about that game against Clarion was, Isaiah Freeman was kind of running around for his life at times. And it was just like very, very scary to watch. Unfortunately for the Lions, who, I had some high hopes that maybe they can get to the middle of the conference this year. Johnson C. Smith seems to be in a bit of a mission right now. And I don't think they even have reloaded. I feel like they've just upgraded. And, definitely a shout out to wide receiver Brevin Caldwell, who's, amongst the statistical leaders nationwide and receiving touchdowns right now. I don't see an upset here. I think John C. Smith's probably favored in this game, and I would take the Golden Bulls for sure.
All right. We've got Bowie State versus Davenport. This is a return game from last year. You were at that game, Chris. Davenport got the win over Bowie State. The game comes to PG County this year. How are you seeing this game? Is there any chance for redemption for the Bulldogs?
Man, we have a notable absence. Where is breaking down the Bulldogs? Man, because I was hoping that we could talk about this game a little bit, but nonetheless,
Making
I
some
don't
W
see
session
it.
content. Yo, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, Clarence. You're not here. Speak now, forever hold your peace. All right.
Reveal yourself. No, I don't see it here. Bowie really struggled against Lenore Ryan, and I imagine that Davenport is going to be, pretty aggressive as well. It just took too long for Bowie State to get going, and I think that was against the second team defense at that. And so I know it's a tough place to play. Bowie is at home, but no, I don't see an upset here.
Okay. All right. Bulldogs have been broken down. Let's see. So next up, we got SIAC versus NAIA matchup. We've got Clark Atlanta taking on Florida Memorial. Chris, we already saw one pair of SIAC cats go down to Florida Memorial in Edward Waters. How much of a threat is this SIAC? How much of a threat is this Florida Memorial program, which again didn't even exist prior to the pandemic? How much of a threat is it? And who are you putting your money on here?
Man, I'm actually going. I had to go look at the stats on this one because, I'm just thinking they've beaten Edward Waters like twice. They're like on a 2-game winning streak against Edward Waters, and I'm just like, how? They don't pass the ball very much. They don't really do more rushing for sure. So it'll be really. I think it'll be a bit of a track meet. I could easily see that happening. Florida Memorial is a sneaky good team against the SIAC, and I don't think that Clark should take them lightly at all. But I like Clark in this game, but man, don't sleep on the Lions. Just don't.
So you like
3 years in a row? Oh gosh, how does Edward Waters answers? We need them.
So you like Clark Atlanta to get the first non-conference win for the SIAC, because right now they're sitting here with a big 0. It's on you, Coach Keaton. It's on you, David Wright. Pick up the flag. Call up the Thundercat signal. Do what you got to do. Let's see. We will go on as we continue to move forward. We got another game. Kind of, this. I think, Livingstone's just fun to talk about. And Allen showed us something last week. They showed us that they lost their head coach. They lost their quarterback. They lost a lot. Everybody took that midnight train to Georgia. RIP Megabus, and they still gave them a game. So they come up to Salisbury, to the birthplace of Black college football, to the blue turf. The guys are feeling pretty good over there on what's the name of that street? It starts with the M. The Miracle with the top. Yeah, they're feeling pretty good over there at Livingstone on the west end. I'm never going to be able to go back after that. Yeah. What do you see this? I guess you should be feeling good after playing VUL. Chris, what are your thoughts on this game? Yeah, my thoughts exactly too, Chris. I don't know. This will be interesting. Again, the Livingstone defense is led by Keenis Boulware, who's very familiar with the SIAC, a great defensive coordinator, had a stint over at Alabama A&M. There we go. We got him back. We got to see Kobe. I didn't start touching things.
You could tell the guys did not want me to talk about this game because they don't want the SIAC to get a win.
In the words of now dearly departed James Earl Jones, let them wait. So you have any feelings about this game other than it's probably going to be an interesting one to watch?
Yeah, I think the quarterback for Allen kind of sort of burst onto the scene, and had Clark Atlanta on the ropes for a while, and I think Livingstone's really still trying to figure a lot of things out. They played another quarterback.
That's a nice way to
The
put it.
two quarterbacks that didn't play that played the first game, they didn't play in this game, and against VUL. So I think they're still trying to figure out what works. And that doesn't really bode well when you go against Bullware and a Bullware-led defense. So I think that this is an opportunity for sure for the SIAC to get another win and their first against the CIAA.
Another.
Well, if they're gonna, if Clark pulls through with
I
the
got
Florida
you.
Memorial, yeah.
All right, Livingstone, the defenders of the CIAA. We'll see what you got going, and then we'll finish up with Winston-Salem State again, coming off the close loss to North Carolina A&T. They're playing on the other ODU, Ohio Dominican, not Old Dominion. Last year this was a game WSSU lost 26-14 over in Ohio. Second day, it was the second game for Dalen Lee, who last week he had his first game with no touchdown passes. But he also had his 8th game in 12 career games with no interceptions. Chris, what do you make of this game? WSSU again coming off of a seesaw game last week, an emotional game. What are you making of this game, and what should we know about Ohio Dominican as they come into Bowman Gray? And they're very excited about it. They're selling shirts about going to Bowman Gray. They might be more excited.
Serious?
Yeah.
What does the shirt look like?
It basically just says. So, because it alludes to the fact that that's where they're going to have that race. Something about the clash. They called it the clash before the clash. Yeah. Hey man, look, get your paper. Look, get your paper. I don't know who's buying it, but yeah, that was interesting. But
Very interesting.
Ohio Dominican. They beat Seton Hill 21-14 last week. What are your thoughts? Does the home team get it done?
The one thing that pains me a little bit about Winston-Salem State is I sometimes wonder if they really have that killer instinct. Like, do you go for the knockout punch and deliver it, or do you just allow teams kind of hang around? And the one play that reminded me of that last week was, Dalen Lee had the opportunity to get that 2-point conversion, and missed a wide open.
You mean the touchdown?
I'm sorry, the touchdown, and he missed a wide open player like on 4th down, and you kind of wonder, like, can the game slow down just a little bit more where he can make those reads, because he was wide open. All the defenders were running towards him to prevent him from getting in the end zone. I'm sorry.
I was there, Chris. I was there.
So I just wonder if Winston-Salem State has that killer instinct. But at the same time, Ohio Dominican loves pass the ball, and you would think that Winston-Salem State secondary should be up to the task for that. They kind of had some lapses last week, but it is still a relative strength for them, and it's at home, and that's where the Rams play pretty well. It would be an upset if they win. I don't think anybody's, outside of Winston-Salem State fans think that they will win this game. I imagine Massey probably has them as an underdog in this game. But I do think that this one is worthy.
Massey said they were going to lose by 28 last week anyway. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I do think that this game is worthy of a doom alert for Ohio Dominican. I do think Winston-Salem State, I thought they could win last year. I do think they can win this year. So I'm going to take the Rams at home.
Oh, Chris, they hurt me so bad, man. They hurt me so bad. Chris, it was right there. It was right there. And I was already firing up memes in my head and all of that stuff. Anyway.
I was ready. I was so ready. I was so ready. If A&T had lost, I was so ready. but that's all right. That's
I
okay.
guess
It don't count.
I guess 29 extra scholarships are worth 7 points. You had to deal with that. But yeah, Chris, as we look ahead, I did pose this question, and we'll pose it to the audience. What are the chances right now? What would you give the chance of two teams from what was formerly the CIAA South of being in the CIAA championship game right now? Again, everybody that was formerly in the CIAA South last week won. Well, almost. Everybody played a D2 team.
Yeah. I think there's enough parity in the CIAA now that it is very possible that you could find two teams in the South. I think right now, like Virginia Union is probably the favorite, but it depends on if Rosales is okay or not. I think he is, but and they're on the bye week, so they got 2 weeks to figure that out for Virginia Union.
Newly invented bye week.
Yeah. But who, let's say if it is Virginia Union, who's that second team? Is it really Virginia State? Is it Fayetteville? Is it John C. Smith? Is it Shaw? Is it Winston? I mean, any of those teams I think are certainly in the running, and VUU has played. They got to play. I think
John
C. Smith.
Yeah. Their next game is against Smith in Charlotte.
Yeah, and they got to play Winston. And don't they have to play Fayetteville too?
I think they might. I know Fayetteville plays VSU, I believe. So, yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. I really think if I had to put a number on it, I'd say there's a 35 to 40% chance it could be two South teams. Maybe that's a little high. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what Bowie State can do. I think the teams to keep an eye on are going to be Bowie State and Lincoln in the North, and Winston and Shaw in the South. If those teams can knock some guys off, they might find themselves there. But if not, they definitely will have a say about who makes it to the championship. So very interesting. Guys, you let us know what you think. I appreciate everybody for hopping in the chat. Yeah, Jamie, it takes 1 point, but now you thought she was gonna blow Winston-Salem State out better than 1 point. Y'all, that 13-point offensive explosion against Wake Forest had y'all dreaming. But hey, you got your win, you got your sellout. Now go play Delaware. Chris, yeah, man, it's definitely been fun. Shout out to Coach Jones for coming in. And where will you be this week? I'll be in Winston, and I may go over to Greensboro and see just how much vibe-less it is there versus what it was last week.
I had so much fun at home. I'm staying home because I want to see as many games as I possibly can. I definitely want to check out what Shaw and Catawba is going to be interesting. Winston State and Ohio Dominicans will be interesting. I'll probably have to listen to Fayetteville State and Valdosta just because that's a pay game, and I don't like to pay. So. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting games out there, and I want to take in as many as I possibly can. So I'll be home.
Dope. Well, we appreciate everybody for rocking with us. Please, before you get off, please, if you have not already, hit that like button, leave us a comment, and we definitely appreciate it. On behalf of Chris, this is SJG. We'll come out with the outro, and we will see you guys on the other side. Shout out to our producer Kobe doing it behind the boards. I didn't touch anything. Thank you, guys. It's SJG D2 HBCU football.
Sleep on Livingstone if you want to, and they can really punish you for it.
Fayetteville State, they're never sexy, but they won.
Sometimes we have to eat our crow, and I got to eat my crow this week. Okay.
Doom alert. Yeah, we're back.